Hello, and thank you for joining part 5 of the Seven Mountain Prophecy book review. Now, before we get started, I just want to make sure that if you have not seen part 1 through 4, I highly recommend that you go back and watch those. It's definitely suggested. That way, you'll be able to understand the foundation of the Seven Mountain Prophecy. So, in this video, we're going to talk about the 7 mountains that appear greater and mightier. Okay, so we're going to talk about the 7 nations, and this generation has revealed the appointed time for the Elijah Revolution revival, which in Hebrew terms means to live prosperously, to restore, to revive from sickness, from discouragement, from faintness, and from death. So the goal is for us to also rise up and become powerful, and we have to first fulfill our mission here on earth. So our mission is to impose the will of God, and the victims of who will be imposed are not people but demonic powers and principalities. So according to Exodus chapter 3 verse 7 through 8, the Lord said, I have indeed seen the misery of my people in Egypt. I have heard them crying out because of their slave drivers, and I am concerned about their suffering. So I have come down to rescue them from the hand of the Egyptians, and to bring them up out of that land into a good and spacious land, a land flowing with milk and honey, the home of the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites. And this was basically God's purpose for this particular mission. So when it comes to driving out 7 nations, according to Deuteronomy 7:1, when the Lord your God brings you into the land which you go to possess, and has cast out many nations before you, the Hittites and the Girgashites, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Perizzites, and the Hivites and Jebusites, there are 7 nations greater and mightier than you. And so God had communicated to Moses and Israel about the promised land he had prepared for them, and that the enemy was definitely going to be bigger and stronger, and there will be, and it'll definitely appear to be impossible to overcome. And the greater works promised will come as the impossible task of taking on the nations, and this is an example of the gospel of the kingdom versus the gospel of salvation. So it's not really about just getting souls, but it's more about the enforcement of his rule over all creation as well. Now, according to Isaiah chapter 2 verse 2 through 3, it states that in the last days the mountain of the Lord's temple will be established as the highest of the mountains, and it will be exalted above the hills, and all nations will stream to it. And so this scripture is a representation of the Elijah Revolution tsunami, and this is a day when the power and authority of the Most High God will be established above all other mountains, which will be considered to be something that has never taken place before. So we're going to kind of touch base on the 7 mountain revelation. Now, as a recap, I touched on the 7 mountains in the first video, and these mountains are the media, government, education, economy, religion, celebration of arts, and entertainment, and family and social services. So most of these mountains have been ignored because of these mountains being known of, the devil controlling them by Christians. But now it's time to take on these mountains as a given assignment. Now, every mountain has a strategy attached to it that relates to the 7 nations, as mentioned in Deuteronomy 7, which again is the Hittites, the Girgashites, the Amorites, Canaanites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites. And so it's going to take a combination of prayer, action, and grace for this assignment. So on the next video, we're going to go over part 6, where we're going to go into a little bit more details about the Hittites, which is the mountain of Media. So stay tuned.